Hi guys, I'm Dave. Welcome to Wolf in the Wilds. Today, we're going to show you how to survive with one of those gimmicky Altoid survival tins. Take a large cup, please. Thanks very much. Have a good one. Oh. Sorry guys, I could not help it. It had to be done. Oh, okay. Now, let me clear up a misconception that there's been some comment, some question, some kind of whatever. I don't have a problem with a micro kit in a survival pack or kind of whatever. What I have a problem with is a be-all to end-all survival kit in a little mint container or anything smaller than, say, like a courier bag or a... I don't even know, I think that's what they're called. I have my Get Lost bag in the absolute smallest thing that I would want to have as a survival kit. And if you're new to the channel and you haven't seen the Get Lost bag, by all means, check it out. Go to version 3. The other ones, doesn't really matter. Version 3 is the one you want to see because that's the kind of the final incarnation. I've done a few minor improvements since then, but nothing to warrant a whole new video. But I will probably come to this very spot and do an overnight camp. So, all in all, you'll see what I got. So yeah, off to the races here. Micro kits are not really a bad idea as long as they are for one basic function. Things in the kit can be multi-purposed, and you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. But they're still more or less there for a single purpose. Two things that should never ever ever be in a micro kit. First and foremost, like I said, a be-all to end-all survival kit. Should not be in one little tin. Second, a first aid kit. You should not have a first aid kit that small. You should have a first aid kit that covers your scratches and abrasions and boo-boos and so on and so forth, but it should also have some trauma capability, and you cannot fit all that into a teeny tiny little kit. You should have a dedicated full-size first aid kit on hand. No tiny little kit for first aid, no tiny little kit for all-encompassing. So, that being said, the first of my new, recently designed and put together mini kits. This is my fire kit. And the circumference has been wrapped in red electrical tape. Red being my color for fire, obviously. I should mention, a lot of people think red first aid, and they go right for that. I'm colorblind. Without these glasses, I can't see red. So, all my first aid is blue, because I can see blue and yellow just fine. It's the other colors I can't see. So, when it comes time where I need to act fast, I see blue, I grab blue, no problem. So, a lot of other people would probably do fire in orange or whatever you like, but this is how I do it. Fire is red. All right, so I don't have a table to work with, and I didn't really feel like spending the time to bushcraft one, so we'll just take her as it goes. I've got some old bicycle tubes sort of cut and wrapped around my my kit here, and that's supposed to be a symbol for fire. I just stuck a piece of electrical tape to a cutting board and I just sort of cut it out with a knife, and I did that for all the kits. It's gonna look like a little kid drew it, I know, but hey, I'm not an artist. I'm a survivalist. I'm a bushcrafter. I'm not an artist. All right. Your absolute first go-to Bic lighter. Always, 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 always have at least one Bic lighter. I've got one in this kit. As a backup, I do have a small ferrocerium rod. These little fuel tablets, they're really no good for actually cooking on or cooking with, because they burn up way too fast and they just don't get hot enough. But they'll be perfectly good for a fire kit. The little box that they were in kind of got crushed in my pack when I was on my way home from using them in a video, and some of them kind of come apart. A little knife. Kind of, I guess they would call like an old-timer's jackknife, but it's a mini. It's fairly sharp. It's got something kind of etched onto the blade, and the last word is trail, but it's so scratched up, it's kind of hard to... Oh, on this side it says stainless china, but on this side it says something trail. But either way, it's sharp, it's a decent knife, it's actually quite old. It's, you know, fits perfectly into the kit, and it will strike the ferro rod just fine. It will also help to process down natural materials, so it'll take a spark as well. And then, in lieu of anything real fancy, a whole bunch of birch bark. Just, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 or so little squares of birch bark. And very few natural things will start a fire as quickly, efficiently, and effectively as birch bark will. So, all in all, you don't really need anything more than that. Although I haven't tested it, I understand these fuel tablets will still work if they get wet. Maybe not totally drenched, doused, but if they get wet, apparently they still will burn. And they certainly burn long enough to start up a fire, even if some of your starting material might be a little bit damp. So there it is, my micro fire kit. Number 2. Next up, I have a snaring kit. The snaring kit is wrapped in green electrical tape, and it's got a little green tape snare. Judge all you want, I don't care. It's terrible. But it's, you know, green tape, green snare to identify this kit. Anything food or food related goes green in my kit. So keep an eye out for that. That might be important, you know, later on in future videos. So there's my horrible little green snare. And inside this kit, very, very simple, very, very simple kit. I have some snare wires. Let me see, 4 or 5. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 of them. And a little pair of pliers, which could possibly, I'm not sure, possibly could cut the snare wire in half if I had to. And it would just help me sort of twist the snare up tightly and make the loops and whatnot, and just help me to, you know, work with the snare wire a little bit more effectively. That is, still smells like cinnamon mints too. I love cinnamon. But yeah, very simple. Very, very simple, but it could quite possibly come in extremely handy. Still gonna show it. And here is my fishing kit. Okay, so I got my green electrical tape because it's for food, and my little fish on it tell me that it's a fishing kit. So, yeah. All right. This one is a little bit more involved than most of the other ones. I have 3 small hooks and 2 large hooks, which I think the large ones are number 10. I'm not sure what size the small ones are exactly. Big hooks will only catch big fish. Little hooks will catch just about anything. But still, 2 big, 3 small, along with some fishing line that I wrapped around a Q-tip, or half a Q-tip. This is the braided spider wire. I'm not a huge fan of this stuff for fishing. Makes awesome thread for gear repair, but for fishing it can be a little bit of a pain. But it is extremely strong, so there it is. Here's a couple more hooks with heads on them. And a lure. And another, there's no hook on this lure, so you gotta use it with one of the larger hooks. But I use this, what was it, 2 years ago, I think? My nephew and I ended up crashing our canoe, and we kind of sunk, and we were stuck for like 2 days down in the middle of nowhere. And I had some of these in my fishing kit, which thankfully did not wash down the river. And the bass were hitting these things all day long. So I got that from Dollarama. So definitely worth the money. Some eyelets. Just some cheap hardware store eyelets, just to make a halfway decent fishing pole with. This knife is very sharp, not extremely robust, but that'll clean a fish no problem at all. Might not fillet a fish at all, but it will clean one. I'm sure if you've got, you know, a decent amount of manual dexterity and a lot of patience, you could fillet a fish with this, but you can clean a fish with that in no time flat. I also have some leaders and an assortment of sinkers and some compressed towels. You just put a little water on that and it expands into a full-size hand towel. So when you're done gutting and cleaning and, you know, kind of whatever, you can wash up your hands a little easier. because hygiene in the bush is still important. Especially if you're in bear country, which I am a lot of the time. You don't want to smell like fish in bear country. Unless you happen to have a big gun. Then I guess it doesn't matter because you'll be eating bear. So, there's the fishing kit. Oh. And, speaking of hygiene, and how important it is to keep yourself clean in the woods, I got a hygiene kit. It is wrapped in yellow electrical tape. Anything to do with any kind of personal hygiene is yellow. That includes your duty kit. And I don't mean duty as in like Call of Duty, I mean, you know, duty with the double O. So, this generally is cleaned and sanitized and stays away from anything green. Generally. So, that's supposed to be a toothbrush. I tried to do something better. I tried it a couple of times. Please, if you have any idea of something better that I can do than that, please let me know. And please don't say a bar of soap because a little rectangle isn't gonna really do much. And I mean, you know, I actually tried to do like some soap bubbles and no, it just, no. So that's supposed to be a toothbrush. But that's the best I could think of as I was doing this. So, you know, let me know what you think. Let me know a better alternative. Now, I tried to put a mirror in here. Or not, I didn't try to. I did put a mirror in here to help, you know, when you're taking care of yourself or whatever, looking for ticks and I don't know, whatever it is. And the glue that I used to fasten it in just totally destroyed the mirror. So until I get a different mirror and different glue and put one in differently, it's gonna look terrible like that. But I will replace that as soon as I possibly can. So, and that will help with signaling as well if you're in a bad situation. So mirror. Also, I have a couple of things of soap. Now, this soap is plant-based, biodegradable, won't hurt the environment, all that good stuff. I got 2 things of that. And I've got a thing of coconut oil. This is good for a lot of different things, especially if you have cuts and abrasions and so on and so forth. Or if you have like a toothache or whatever, swish that around. There's so many different things that coconut oil is good for. I would have put more than just 1 tube in here, but honestly, trying to get coconut oil into a straw and then seal it up, I'll never do this again. It's such a misery. It is such a misery. I have a razor in here as well. And to go with the razor, I have some, what kind of oil do you call that again? It's for clippers. Mineral oil. You could use this for a lot of different things, especially if you have knives and saws and whatnot that are carbon steel rather than stainless. But the general idea for this is you would use this in the place of shaving cream. It's a very, very good lubricant to avoid razor burn. 4 compressed towelettes, always handy. Couple of little toothbrushes that are impregnated with toothpaste. I can't remember where I got a whole pack of these things. They come in a whole great big huge whole bunch of them in a pack, and they're extremely handy. I got 2 of them in this pack, as well as, I don't know, like 4 or 5 Q-tips. Q-tips are pretty handy. Oop. So, probably the most involved kit that I have, maybe. There's a lot of different little options here and whatnot, and yeah, hygiene in the bush, very, very important. No sooner do I start the camera, but it stops. There's a red-tailed hawk over there, and it's calling out a lot. And now it's not. So, my final micro kit of the day is a repair kit, sewing kit, kind of gear maintenance kit. I've chosen white for the color of anything to do with any kind of repair, maintenance, possibles, sort of things that don't come up all the time, but periodically are needed. So all of my gear repair, possibles, pouches, things like that will be in white containers or wrapped in white electrical tape. So, once again, my little homemade sticker. It's probably the one that turned out the best. Arguably, maybe that or the fish, but either way, that's a sewing needle. So that indicates to me that it is a repair kit, sewing kit. Super glue. No repair kit is complete without super glue. Gotta have super glue. All-purpose glue. In a straw. Once again, I'll never do that again. That was a misery. But I got it in, and I got it sealed. Fishing line. The braided spider wire. This stuff is really just the absolute best thing that you can repair your gear with when you're sewing something up. It is just super strong. I will never go back to thread, ever. I got a couple of sewing needles stuck into the end of this Q-tip. At first, that's all I was going to go with. But eventually, got a bunch more. There is a sail needle, and then a bunch of like regular, proper sewing needles. These things break all the time. I have broken so many needles repairing my gear, it makes no sense for me to only put 2 in the kit. So, got a whole bunch there, as well as a couple of the curved needles. I think they were called mattress needles or something like that, but curved needles. I also have a whole bunch of pieces of denim, just cut up squares of denim for patching, as well as a whole bunch of cut up pieces of tarp, just poly tarp for patching as well. Now, I imagine you could probably do like a char cloth with this stuff. I don't know. I think you can, but either way, it's probably multi-purposed. Oh. And also, just so I don't, lose any while I'm opening the kit or whatnot, I tend to keep the needles underneath the first thing of denim, just to keep them from popping out when I'm opening it up or whatever. So, a couple. So that, as they say, is that. 5 micro kits, 5 jobs. Some of the things are multi-use, multi-purpose, situational, but 5 kits for 5 jobs. Hands down, not a bad idea if they're done right. And, oh, incidentally, in case anybody's interested, my whole color coordination system that I've been kind of doing, anything that is electronic in nature, batteries, flashlights, phones, any of that kind of stuff, that all goes into gray. So far I've got gray, yellow, white, green, red, and blue. Just in case you guys might like the idea and think that you might want to do something similar in your bug out bags, camp packs, whatever. So, thanks for watching my video. I hope to see you in the next one, and do me a favor, recommend it to your friends, share it, create a buzz. I'd really like to grow this channel, and I can't do that without your support too, so I'd appreciate it. Thanks very much. Have a good one, guys.